And today we're going to be doing, and maybe even for a couple weeks, we're going to be doing a word study. Now, word study is a little bit different kind of Bible study. So to do that, we've prepared a guideline. And what I want to do is just spend a minute or two going over the guideline, maybe a few minutes, more than a minute or two, going over the guideline, how to use it, using your phone, or maybe you might even be using a book. So let's go ahead and get right to the guideline and see how that works. So hopefully you've got this guideline sitting in front of you. And it talks a little bit about the word study and what it is. We're going to take a really close look at the words that are in this, especially as it relates to the passage of Scripture. Now, you probably already found out that we're doing the fruit of the Spirit passage from Galatians chapter 5. So when we get to that, you'll be able to see the words in there: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. So for the word of the week, which I think for the first week is going to be love, we're going to choose our word. And it says here in step 1, you can choose one you wondered about or from a passage you're intrigued with. So find one or two passages containing the word. So you can just simply take that step 1, write down the verse it is. So let's go find that in our Bible, and then we'll write that into our space. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to have to do is go find my Bible app, which I use. I'm going to use the regular Holy Bible app. I'm going to get out of my plan and go over and find my Bible. Click on Galatians, because I know it's in Galatians chapter 5, so I'm going to choose Galatians, choose 5. Scroll down until I find the passage, which is down around 20, verse 20, 21. There it is. A little bit further. There we go. There you go. The Holy Spirit produces this kindness. So it's 2 different verses. I'm going to grab the whole thing. I'm going to highlight them, and then down below I hit copy, and I'm ready to paste it on into my system. Now that I've done this, now what I can do is go here into step 1, and I can paste that in there. And now I have the passage in there. I better go ahead and put in Galatians 5 as well, right? Now, of course, if you're working with a sheet, you can just write it in, or you can just even just put the reference, and you'll have that there. Now, let's go to step number 2. Now we're going to go look up its English definition. Well, when you go look up its English definition, you're going to use something called a dictionary. For you younger people watching this, they used to come in a book, but for all of us who are living in this particular millennia, we're going to use dictionary.com. As you can see, I'm here at dictionary.com, and I've already chosen love, so I'm going to hit the examine a certain bar, and it gives me a bunch of definitions. Now, you can read through them here if you want to, but I'm just going to go ahead and just copy and paste them. Notice it also gives me synonyms or antonyms, in other words, the same meaning or opposite meaning for each one of these. So I used a bunch of them, and now I'm going to end and then copy and paste them into my document. And I'll just copy and paste the ones that I copied into my document. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and then I'm going to paste them right here. As you can see now, they're pasted into my document. You can decide how much of this you want to keep. If there's some that are obviously not part of what they're talking about here, you could take it out. For example, let's say you want to take this one out. You could go ahead and just delete it. Say, well, it's definitely not sexual intercourse. Boom. You can leave it out. So you can do anything you want. Me, I wouldn't take anything out because I don't trust my own study until I've really done the study. So I'd leave it in. But as you can see now, they're all in there. There you go. Now we're ready to go to step 3. And step 3 is to compare translations and see if anything is different. So let's go on back over to our Bible app and take a look at it. Now, in this case, I'm going to use the computer Bible app, and that Bible app is called Bible Gateway. You can also find that on your phones as well, or you can just do it on the YouVersion Bible app that we mostly all use. All right, so as you can see, I'm in now Bible Gateway, and I'm going to scroll down. I'm in Galatians 5, and I'm going to scroll down to verses 21, 22, and so there you go. The fruit of the Spirit's love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. A little different wording there, but love is the same. And you can see that that is that. Really nice feature here in Bible Gateway on the computer. I think you can also do this on the phone. Is I can go up here and go to the actual 5:22 and 23, like this, and I could just see those two verses. And then, pretty neat, if I say, oh, I just really want to see 22, I can see that. And then this is a pretty neat feature if you're looking at one verse. You can look at it in all English translations. So now it'll post and show me every translation of this. So I can really do a quick comparison, which is pretty neat. You'll notice every one of them says love, joy, peace. Here's one that says, but God's Spirit causes us to live in a different way. We love other people. So you could go ahead and compare really quickly here and see if there's any other words that are used differently. So, and this has some really esoteric and different ones, which is pretty neat. I'm sure all of these are available on the Bible app as well, right? So just thought that was interesting. The message is a bit different. It says things like affection for one another. You can't quite see that. It's off to the side of my screen, but any that are different or that are useful that you think might be useful, you go ahead and copy and paste those into step number 4. So that's the two, or step number 3. That's the thing in number 3. If you see any differences, let's go on to step number 4. And if you look on your sheet, you'll see that it says use a tool like Blue Letter Bible or Concordance and find the original word in your passage to the word you're studying. Let's go ahead and go to that next. All right, I'm in Galatians 5:22, or I'm in the Blue Letter Bible, I should say, and I've searched Galatians 5:22. It's in the King James, but I'm going to go ahead and switch it to the New Living Translation because I prefer that one. And I'm going to click the search, and it's going to take me right to 5:22. You can see there's the translation in the New Living Translation, and depending on whether you're in the phone or whether you're on the computer, you click Tools. Yours may say interlinear, that's fine. And I'm going to click Tools, and I'm going to make sure interlinear is chosen. And I'm going to go find this word love. There's the fruit of the Spirit is love. Oh, there it is. So love, and you can see it says it's G26. And then over here to the right, again, depending on exactly how you're looking at it, it may show up in a little different way, but here it is, agape, there's the word. And you can click on G26, and it'll give you the full translation in the original language. You can decide how much of this you want to paste. I usually at least do the transliteration and the main words, and I might copy that in. But you can also find out stuff like it's a part of speech, it's a noun, feminine in this case. Many words in other languages have the feminine or masculine associated with them. You probably know that from some Spanish, maybe. It comes from another word, and if you want, you can click on that, and it'll show you that word as well. And then shows you some other inflections of where it's word. And as we scroll down a little further on this, it'll show you some other interesting stuff. Like in the King James Version, it's translated, this word appears in the King James 117 times. And in the King James, it's 86 times it's love. 28 times it's charity. One time it's dear. One time it's charitably. One time it's feasts of charity. So it's even cool to look those up and see where those show up. Here's some place where it's used in the Bible. And here's the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance definition. You can read that. And here's the Thayer's Greek Lexicon translation, which you can read that. You might not be able to see all the Thayers if you're either on your phone or here. So there's a way to show all of it. And now you can scroll down and look at the entire Thayer definition. This is probably the most respected word dictionary we find in the Greek and Hebrew languages. So you can read about all that and what every way that word is used in the Bible. And then a little bit further on down, if you continue to scroll on down, It will show you every place that word exists in the Bible, every verse. It shows you 116 times in 106 verses in the Greek. And it'll show you, even if you want, you can see it when it was translated, when the Old Testament was translated into Greek. It's called the LXX, sometimes the Septuagint. You can even see where it's at in that, if that's what you want to. So you have all kinds of different choices, and you can go through and see all of this information in the Blue Letter Bible. Or if you have a concordance or a book like the Vines like the Vines lexicon, you could look this material up as well. So what I'm going to do is find out exactly what step 4 wants me to put in, and I'm going to come back and get it. It took me about 10 minutes to do this step, I guess, after I'd already found in a Blue Letter Bible. As you can see, I copied in the transliteration of the word agape, and also its part of speech, and also its definition from the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. Love or affection, benevolence, etc. And then step 5, using the tool. How many times does the word occur in the Bible? I use this all in the original word. In other words, Greek number 26, okay? So it's in the King James, it's 117, and then there's the ways it's translated. What books does it occur? Interestingly enough, this particular version of the word love doesn't appear in Mark or James. So agape, as you probably heard Dave or someone else, some other preacher talk about it a million times, doesn't appear in the books of Mark or James. And so those are the writers that don't use the word. Although Mark is probably the author of 1st and 2nd Peter also, and as his secretary, but it did appear in there. And what books does it appear the most? I found it in First John with 14. It makes sense. And First Corinthians is 11. So Paul uses the word love a lot as well. And it first appears in Matthew 24:12, and then again at the end, Revelation 2:19. Step 6. I didn't do the step 6, but you could look more into that if you wanted to, if you had time. Also part of the Blue Letter Bible or other tools similar to that. Now, let's go ahead and look at step number 7, because step number 7 is one I want to look at because I'm surprised that the word love doesn't appear in Mark or James. And it doesn't appear in Matthew until chapter 24, which I thought was strange as well. So what I want to do is have a little bit more of a look into that word and see if love appears in those books, and then if love appears in those 2 books, what word is being used there? So that's pretty interesting. I'm going to take a minute and do that, and then I'll show you the results I came up with. Well, I thought I'd show you this technique anyway, since I'm doing it. I did go back to the Bible Gateway, and up in the search bar I put love. I'm in the New Living Translation, and it gave me all the results from the whole Bible. And then I told it to filter by just the New Testament. So I'm filtering to the New Testament. It's only showing me 260 results. But even more, I'm really truly only interested in this particular case, in Mark and James. So I'm going to go down to Mark. And Mark is showing me that it's right, there's all love. Look at it, felt genuine love for him. Mark 12:30 has, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart. So what's going on with Mark 10:21? So if I go back to the Blue Letter Bible, and you may not be able to see this quite at the top, but I'm going to put Mark 10:21 up here and do a search. And it'll show me Mark 10:21, and it says the same passage, felt genuine love for him, so I'm going to hit Tools. And I'm going to go scroll down and found a love for him. And it's a slightly different version of agape. It's agapeo. So let's click on the 25 here. And it still means love, dearly beloved, but it's of persons. So you can see this one's a verb, not a noun. So it's the verbal form of the same word. So that's really the only reason it doesn't appear in Mark. And I'm sure if I went to James and kind of did the same search, so let's go ahead and find out James over here, see if he made the list. Oh, 3 times. So if I went to James, here's the James 1:12 that God has promised to those who love him. So let's go back to the Blue Letter Bible. And what was it, James 1:12? Confirming. James 1:12, so I'll put that up here. And do the search. And it says here, promise to those who love him. So let's go to the tools. And let's go to promise to him who loved him. So I'm looking for there we go. There's love. It's the same. So it's the verbal form. So interesting, James and Mark only seem to use the verbal form of love as opposed to the noun form of love. So that's really what it is. So I'd go back to step 7, maybe type that kind of stuff in for insight for me. And that makes sense also for me and James, because if you know James very well, he's talking very much about an active faith and a living faith. And using verbal forms makes a lot of sense for James. Also for Mark, as Mark is a much more action-oriented gospel than the other 3 gospels. So using verbal forms of love in there makes a lot of sense. The last steps of the word study are discovery. And this is where if you've kind of gathered some of the information, now you can start discussing it. In fact, that whole thing that I just went through of finding out why the word love was different in Mark and James might be something you would end up doing here. Pardon me. But you can take a look. You can start reading some passages and go, was it used differently? Was it used differently there? Was there places in the Bible where it defines itself to you? For example, there's a passage in 1 John that says, God is love. And it really starts to define it for you. And does the context of the passage, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control, these things, there's no law against them. Does that give clues to the meaning of love? So this is kind of where you discuss it, go down rabbit holes, whatever it needs to do in order to understand what the word love means in the Bible. Now, step 9 is probably the most difficult, but also the best part of this application. How can this word strengthen my spiritual life? How can I make an application? For example, I might make an application that says, love for me, since God's love, since love, peace, patience, kindness, all those things go together. I might say that my definition for me is I need to love people more, because if I can love people more, then I can serve them better. Maybe that's your application. Now, is that provable? I don't know. It's certainly not quantifiable. But is it possible? It is. I can love them better so I can serve them better. It's practical. It is practical. I mean, I really want to love people, even people that I don't always understand. So that's a personal thing too. So you really just want to choose what's right for you. So you write that in on number 9. I hope all of this is helpful for you guys. To do the whole story for you, but my main goal was to give you an opportunity to, for lack of a better term, to understand how to do this kind of study. Maybe you'll go ahead and use this to do the study today and then do the rest of the words on your own. I hope that's true. I hope this is just a new and different kind of Bible study for you. God bless you. We'll talk to you later. See ya.